So I was texting with my daughter this morning, and I had asked her to do something that I could tell by her response made her feel really anxious. And this is something that I know she feels nervous about, and obviously has some stories about that. So during our exchange, I offered her some suggestions, including taking some really deep breaths before moving forward. And I reminded her that other people's actions have more to do with them than they do to do with her. Unless, of course, she makes them mean something about her, right? Everyone is you pushed out. And I reminded her not to believe her catastrophizing thoughts. They're just fearful feelings come to tell a story, and that these are her limiting beliefs. They're not objective facts. And so today I want to talk about this, but in the context of your circumstances. Most people would describe their circumstances as external challenges or obstacles. But the trick of the mind is that you might believe that your circumstances are the challenge, and right, your circumstances, they're something that's outside of you, and you might believe that they are actually the challenge. But the only obstacles, the only challenge, it's not your circumstances. It's the way that you think and feel about your circumstances, and that's not outside of you. Those thoughts and feelings, those come from your false identity. Those come from a version of you that is activated in that moment and creates a lens that you see your reality through. It's a version of you that was created by your childhood experiences. Now, you don't have to have had horrific experiences to have developed insecurities. There's a little hair in my mouth. Okay, serious now. So you don't need to have had intense traumatic experiences to have developed these insecurities. Children operate entirely from an emotional mind until probably about 7 to 10 years old. And so even the most innocuous experience can be emotionally traumatic, because it's not about what happens to you, it's about how you respond to what happens to you, what you make it mean about yourself. And every time you attach a feeling in a story, you essentially reinforce that limited identity. You're always either redesigning your identity, your subconscious identity. I'm not talking about the person you tell yourself you are. That's a different layer of identity. This is the one that creates the responses to life, what you do and don't do. The stories that you tell, the fears that you have, etc., etc. So every time, you're either always reinforcing it or redesigning it. And that's based on the stories and the emotions that you attach, and then the actions that you take from that place. And it's from these limited ideas about yourself that exist within your subconscious identity, because your subconscious includes both positive and negative, that you are looking at your circumstances. That's the lens through which you're looking. It's the replaying of that emotion that you felt in that original moment. And the irony is that with each experience, your mind just overlays it onto the new experience. So the two aren't even necessarily directly related. However, you feel the emotion, and that triggers a limited way of thinking, these limited stories that we tell ourselves about the situation. And from here, most people go into trying to manage their mental diet. But there are several lectures in which Neville, while he is definitely referencing mental diet, if you listen to the entire lecture, he's actually referencing shifting at the level of perception in order to change your mental diet automatically. Because Because fighting with your mental diet is not only absolutely an exhaustive task, it expends an unbelievable amount of your own personal energy, which you could be using to create something. It's also not very effective because you're not dealing with what is causing the thinking in the first place. The mind is driven by the energy in the body. And thinking patterns emerge from energetic imprints in the mind and body, so specifically in the nervous system and the neural pathways of the brain. So when the energy is triggered within the body, the mind will come up with stories. Why? Why do I feel this way? And why is actually one of the least effective questions you should ever ask yourself. It is not a self-reflective question. Why just enables you to feed the original assumptions. It just allows your brain to do what it does best, which is prove your current beliefs. Because your brain does not match your beliefs to meet your life. It matches your life to fit your beliefs. And so when you ask a why question, or you believe your thoughts, really. But if you allow your mind to answer why questions to a feeling, it's essentially going to use that as an opportunity to reinforce your current limited sense of self and the limited stories that you have around any circumstance in your life. There is a saying that when the heart is balanced, the mind thinks clearly. And this is referencing the heart-mind connection and the importance of that, which I might take this opportunity to connect to the body-mind connection I'm always talking about, and the fact that it is not telling you when your thinking is right, your heart will feel better. Even though there is a lot of for a long time, we really believed that was the only way, that all emotions are created by thoughts. But there's actually a whole body of knowledge now that we have that actually tells us that we are more powerful when we recognize that leveraging the body's energy actually gives us greater ability to manage the mind when mindset work is not effective for us. Because humans operate on a number of levels, and so we don't all operate in the same way. So some people, mindset work is fantastic for them. It's all they need. Other people, they need emotion work. Other people might need to work on the subconscious or unconscious. And all of these will branch out into some level of behavior, because at some level you are not different if the way you are showing up in the world is not different. If you contract when you should expand, you reinforce a limited identity. Because you are always either redesigning or reinforcing your current identity at the subconscious level. And because the mind has a protection mechanism, because its job is essentially to confirm what we know, what we believe is true. So this is where we have confirmation bias. If you buy into the thoughts, so the catastrophizing stories that your fearful feelings have come to tell you, you just reinforce the limitations that you believe about yourself. It's all you. You have the locus of control. Even when you decide to put it outside of yourself and essentially give it away, the locus of control is still yours. But your truest, most powerful position is when you claim the locus of control. It's all you. It's not what happens. It's what you make it mean about yourself. It's what you make it mean is possible for you. These are the biggest barriers. These are the things that will always get in the way. And no one but you can choose to change the way that you look at your circumstances, to change the lens that you look at them through, to change the story that you're telling yourself about them. The universe is within you. It's not outside of you waiting to grant a wish. It's within you. And all you have to do is claim it. If claiming it feels difficult, consider looking at what is going on in the body that creates an unconscious barrier. Because it's all about energy and how we are interfacing with this quantum field. It's a field of possibility unless you decide it's not possible. So it's not your circumstances that are the obstacle, that are the challenge. It's the way that you're thinking about them. I could say the way that you think about yourself, but often the conscious mind creates a barrier so that unless we begin to ask really powerful questions, we can't see that. It's the psychological immune system. It's necessary. However, you have to be able to work with it. So if you want to look at the way that you're telling a story about the circumstances, and that will give you a closer look into what it is that you truly think and feel about yourself at the subconscious level. What fearful feelings are hypnotizing you with their story of limitation? All with the intention of keeping you safe from feeling a feeling. It's really all about mastering your consciousness and learning not to be afraid of any of it. So, until next time, live like you can't fail.